Good evening. We're back again with our next round of Scottish gin. Tonight we've got Paul Jackson from the Gin Guide joining us. So hopefully we'll now cut across to Paul and he will be there for a chat. Hi Paul, how's it going?
Hiya. Yeah, great, thanks. Yeah, thanks very much for organising the chat. It's always great to do.
Not at all. No, it's a pleasure to have you. Thanks for spending your evening with us, I guess.
Always a pleasure. Never sure to join you guys for a G&T.
Yeah.
So,
good. See, the thing is, it's a bit like The Shining. Once you join us, you can never leave. But obviously, thanks very much for taking the time to have a chat with us tonight. And obviously, I guess the first question is, how are you and sort of your family and that doing under the circumstances?
Yes, fortunately, all sort of really well. Normally I'd be out visiting distilleries and industry events and everything like that, and spending a lot of time on the road. But when I'm not doing that, I tend to work from home anyway. So in some respects, it's quite similar.
We're the same. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm not having to make an office with a ironing board as a desk or anything like that. I've got myself set up. The difference is having the other half here, which is of course a privilege for her to spend more time with me. So
that's exactly how Natalie feels about. Well, saying that, we've spent the last 2 years.
Yeah, sharing an office and spending every waking hour together. So
yeah, if there's ever a test for a marriage, I think it's worth.
I think we've passed it.
Possibly, although you have been digging a big hole in the back garden, so
enough of that.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, I mean, Martin and I were just chatting before. You've obviously been, you've been a friend to us, and certainly, we've kept in regular contact with you since we've started the Gin Cooperative, and we know, I suppose, to an extent, a little bit about what it is that you do. But for those that don't know, do you want to just give us a bit of a background? What motivated you to establish the Gin Guide and what it's all about?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. At its core, the Gin Guide is an extensive website, social media channels, lots of content, mostly online, but some printed stuff coming, and also the Gin Guide Awards, which we just announced winners for. And I suppose the aim of it really is to connect gin lovers and the trade with gin brands that they can discover or find out more about, and on the flip side for gin distillers and gin brands to reach that massive audience of gin lovers and trade out there. So it's meant to be a big platform, big community for those people to connect and share stories and people to find out about their gins, basically.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, we think it's a brilliant resource, and we've always sort of looked up to what you do and sort of got a lot of time and respect for the website and what you've created, because it's obviously a fantastic resource, not only for consumers to go and discover more about gin, and it's not just gin as well. It's obviously, there's experiences, you've got a distillery section, you've got a blog section, a news section, you've got great insight into garnishes and tonics. So for anyone that wants to dip their toe into gin, or if they're a gin connoisseur want to learn more, obviously your website is a sort of one of the go-to resources that people should be checking out. So no, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. It's I just guess it's sort of a lot of it's following my kind of own interest in things that I learned as I went along the way. So it started kind of very organically, just in that I had a G&T with a friend about 8 years ago, something like that, and it never crossed my mind to order a G&T at that point. It was go to the pub and you have a beer, and he ordered a G&T, and I was like, go on then, I'll join you. And sort of love at first taste, I guess, and it was went from there really. So I kind of been on that learning journey and discovering other gins myself, and I guess try and convey some of that, having gone from non-gin drinker to gin drinker in whatever it's a long time ago now.
Yeah.
And we never touched on what you were drinking. If you are having a G&T, we obviously encourage you to maybe have a refreshment. What are you sampling tonight?
I've got a cupboard full of Scottish gins, and the Scottish gin that jumped out was Hills and Harbour from Crafty, which is it's lovely gin. And I mean, there's so many awesome Scottish gins, and obviously gins from all over the place that I've got jumping off the shelf at me. It's still difficult to choose, but I think it's a cracker. So
it's good
because they obviously did their was it their cocktail?
Yeah, the I can't remember what it's called now. Distilled, is it?
Like this one or
the smoky kind of
smoky citrus
one.
cocktail, yeah.
Yeah, that in a Negroni is insane.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't tried that. I'll have to. Right.
I have to put it on the Negroni list.
That's in the Negroni bag.
Yeah. So obviously you touched a wee bit on the Gin Awards, and obviously the Gin Awards 2020 winners have just been announced recently. So I'm wondering if you could give us a bit more insight into the sort of the judging process, and perhaps what you feel are some of the benefits to the winners who sort of enter and take part.
Yeah, of course. Yes, I suppose end to end, it's about a 5-month-ish process from sort of entry opening to when's been announced and all the content and things that come with that. But I suppose the aim is to be sort of as genuine and rigorous as possible. So it's all blind tasting, and it's all done by expert judges from the property industry, and we try to have that kind of entire reach of distillers, mixologists, bartenders, bloggers and reviewers, retailers, mixer brand, kind of trying to get every viewpoint on a gin, so it's the most rounded view of that gin possible, and in the feedback you get, you're sort of getting all the different angles. And what's really interesting is seeing all these people from different angles of the industry, when they all agree and all find the same qualities in something. A distiller might pick out some different nuances to what a mixer producer might, but a gin's great when across the board everyone is saying that sort of same thing. Such an interesting process, and quite complex scoring process, because I think it's important to kind of really get to the bottom of the gin, and that's why, rather than doing a tasting event where in the past I found that it's so difficult to drink even 10, 15, 20 gins and still be sober enough to to write something constructive, let alone 40 or 50 sometimes. So all the award samples are sent out to the judges. The judges do it in their own time with quite firm guidelines on the conditions and how to do the tastings and everything like that, so that you don't get that sort of palate fatigue and you can dedicate the time. I always think if you're going to be judging and giving feedback on something that's so much time has gone into creating, then it deserves some proper time assessing it. So that's sort of the concept behind it.
And do you have, I guess, is there like a threshold? Is there a maximum number of people that can enter, or do you just take, if it's a huge amount, do you just take that into consideration with the timing and the process? So in theory there's an unlimited number of entrants, and depending on the number of entrants in each category, that will define how many are finalists and ultimately winners. In theory unlimited, but I think probably give out the fewest winner awards
of anyone out of all of that still, because I think there's real value in exclusivity, and I think a lot of the recognition and respect and value of the awards comes from that exclusivity. And as much as it's nice visibility for the awards, I don't want to see the award on every bottle.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
And be a pay to win type thing.
I guess I'm sure that's appreciated in the industry and by the gin makers. It gives real credibility to the awards. So I'm sure that's what makes the brands come back and re-enter.
Yeah, for sure. And almost because of that, there's a whole heap of benefits around the awards as well. So a lot of people are just delighted to have some really sort of solid feedback from a panel of experts. But I always sort of say once you've been part of the awards, kind of part of the awards family and alumni, and it doesn't end when the awards end.
Okay.
And there'll always be follow-up tastings. Myself, sort of from a team guide point of view, aside from the awards, and then social media coverage, and I'm always sort of in touch with everyone to, particularly the ones that have impressed, to do more things. So, I say it's sort of a thing that it's a great way for me to get to know a lot of gins and have them on my radar, and sort of the start of something rather than the awards is finished, goodbye.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
And obviously there's chatter in the sort of gin community about gin liqueurs and other things that perhaps aren't by legal definition a gin. Do you think the term gin needs some form of protection for the consumer?
That's such a difficult question, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, sorry about that.
The ideal world answer is yes. I think for me, I would like to see that. I can't see a way for it to happen, which is the frustrating bit, I guess. I know there have been lots of efforts and lots of different things proposed, and I've been asked to go to committees or to launch things in that vein, but it's so difficult to get everyone to agree.
Yeah.
So, unless everyone agrees, it's going to be something really difficult to enforce. But there's some definite grey areas.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I try and kind of educate a lot on, particularly when working with newer gin brands, is about that transparency and in the story and in the labelling and presentation and things like that. Because as we know, there's numerous examples of there's a lot of people mention that Scottish gin's not made in Scotland and things like that, and locally in England, gin say one thing on a label and make something else. So when some people go to such incredible efforts and having a really genuine story and such a sense of place that's so important and got so much value to it, it feels a shame to almost sort of mislead people by doing it. So that's sort of, maybe aside from the protection of gin, I think the transparency is...
Yeah, it's probably a bigger issue, a more important one, the transparency and the marketing of the gin.
And I guess in a way that's perhaps where you hope that the gin industry will maybe get to a stage where brands don't, or whether it's contract distilled gins or whether it is gin makers making their own gin, that they'll feel they have to have that level of transparency from the get-go, where they can't sort of try and smoke and mirrors. Get off to the best possible start. Here's what our gin's made. Here's what it's about, and just be open and honest with the consumer. And I think, personally speaking, I think me as a consumer, I'd be a lot more sort of respectful and a bit more willing to engage with that brand if that was their approach.
Yeah. I mean, the sort of consumer angles are sort of a really important one to consider, as well as sort of what we in the industry think. And there's a lot of consumers out there who will say, "Look, I don't care. I really like this gin.
Yeah.
I might have word on it, but I like it, so I'm going to drink it. Leave me alone. And, consumers are such big drivers that it's almost you've got to be careful not to be that sort of overbearing with it. So what I try and do is every gin on the gin guide, and whenever we talk about gin, I'll say where it's distilled. And I'll give the opportunity for the consumers or the people in the trade to decide for themselves. I go, here's all the information. If it's a problem for you, you can see it in black and white there.
Exactly.
It's something Scottish gin distilled at Thames Distillery, and if that's a problem for you, you can not. But I'm not going to sort of cover it up.
And I think as well, you can go about these things in a way that doesn't sort of name or shame anyone, or doesn't devalue that brand just because they've chosen a certain process to make their gin. And I think we've tried taking a pretty sensible approach, and I know you sort of follow the same sort of guidelines as well. That you just you do things professionally.
Yeah, that's it. I've always said it's independent. My reviews are of the spirit, and I'll lay out the information for people to decide for themselves. But whenever it comes to working with new gin brands, a lot of them say to me, like, I don't want to tell anyone about the distillery. And I think maybe more so a couple of years ago, there was that sort of much bigger stigma around contract distilling.
Yeah.
They're sort of still worried about that. But there's a lot of people who it's part of a journey. Looking at the likes of Big R, who first batch is contract distilled, and it's all part of a journey to create their own distillery and
absolutely
move on from there. And it doesn't mean it's a bad gin.
No.
There's some people making some questionable gin themselves because they've got no experience.
I guess just because you've got a distillery, it doesn't make you a good gin maker.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
you're absolutely right. I do think that's one of the things that maybe that kind of judgment can be unfair on the contract distillers, because actually, if you're a passionate gin drinker, you wanted to turn that into a business. That's not to say that just because you enjoy drinking it doesn't mean you know how to make it. And so, taking on board an experienced distiller or working with a distillery who have the resources and have the knowledge of how to create a good gin. I mean, that's good business sense, isn't it? So I think there is a lot to be said about that. And obviously now there are so many more options, it seems, you can work with distilleries just to create a recipe, but still, while and effectively launch it from your own distillery, or you can do the whole process yourself, or you can work with a contract, so, I guess the industry's big enough now, isn't it, to cater to kind of to all.
That's it. It's I think it's no need to necessarily judge it, and one of the best things about the job is going out to distilleries and meeting the people, and you just sort of see the passion behind it and love seeing all the different setups and processes and things like that. So I do absolutely love that part of it. But there's I suppose there's no judgment for other ways if it's done in the right way.
And obviously at the moment, Paul, I mean, the on and off trade are going through a really hard time, and obviously a lot of gin makers have had to adapt their production. A lot of them are making hand sanitizer, or they're doing other things to help their local community. I mean, what do you think some of the challenges they'll face in the sort of next 12 to 18 months will be, and what do you think they can do to kind of overcome them?
Yeah, it's such a strange one now, isn't it? I think 3 months ago would have been a very different answer to now. So I guess the first challenge is how everything progresses from this sort of current period. With the sort of things in the news of will pubs and bars still be closed at the end of the year and that sort of thing. It was obviously obviously a bit of a worrying one, but the sort of innovation and how people have adapted and sort of embraced things and done it positively has been amazing. So that's been nice to see. But and I think we'll probably see a lot of that carry on a long time past this. You guys will be video pros.
I don't know about that.
And there's some great stuff which I think will carry on for a long time. And sort of challenges further afield. I guess it sort of depends on kind of what the business plans are. As there's obviously exports are a big opportunity as everywhere across the world is starting to embrace gin in a big way. There's opportunities there, but there's still home market opportunities. I think as my background's in marketing and business consultancy, so I sort of always look at a rapidly growing market, and it's natural for that to slow down, and it's not a problem necessarily, and it's not oh no, gin sales are slowing. So that's natural. But find me a market where that hasn't happened. I always say, when's the gin bubble going to burst? So there is no gin bubble, so there's nothing to burst.
Same.
Other than the BBC, who misquoted me saying that rum is the next big thing, gin is moving on, which I 100% did not say.
Well, that just tells us that all we need to know about the BBC.
I think that might be a foolish thing for me to have said if I had done, but no, I did say I think rum's really exciting, and a lot of people are looking at rum, to diversify their spirits. But gin's been around for a very long time. It's amazing history, and it's not the overnight success of the one-hit wonder that it's sometimes portrayed. And it's got a great future and lots of opportunities. So it's still so exciting. Hopefully not too many more challenges, I guess.
Brexit, COVID.
We've always found gin is such an accessible drink. It transcends a lot of boundaries, as in, is it a traditional female drink? Is it male? Is it? It's there really is a gin out there for everyone. Whereas the question with rum is it really got that wide appeal? And it might, after a while, it might have that craft appeal. If distilleries can make good quality rum. So I think it'll be an exciting market to watch, and I think it's a logical step for a lot of gin distilleries to expand their portfolio of products as well. So, but then again, people have been saying gin's rum's the next gin for the last 10 years. So
it remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But we've got another. I feel like this is a really difficult question. I don't know if I'd be able to answer it, so apologies again. But what do you think it is that at the end of the day makes a gin a good gin, like a great gin?
Yeah, it is a good question. And but coming off the back of all the Gin Guide Awards judging, it gives them a real insight into what the judges from all these different areas of expertise are picking out and what they're viewing as high quality. And things that come up time and again are balance, and that's sort of throughout from start to finish. Mouthfeel being very important, and a lot look for sort of a depth of flavour and complexity, and I suppose a journey from that sort of first taste through to the finish. Consistency in that quality.
Wow, sold. That's perfect.
I always sort of refer to it as almost like a gin being like a firework display, in that you get some where it's a big bang and then they sort of disappear, and you kind of get others where there's things going off all over the place, colours, smoke blowing across, and almost too much going on, and and then you've got your sort of Catherine wheel going that's kind of nice, but it sort of does what it does, and
it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, so it's sort of, it's that you almost sort of think of your gin as what a good firework display would be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you do get some gins that are a little bit muddled, and when the judges are able to pick out, say, I'm picking up these highs and these lows and these sort of key characteristics, it becomes something you can engage with if you're doing tastings with consumers who maybe don't have the same level of experience with spirits as the judges do. It's really important to have that. So
and I suppose, I guess that's really interesting, and all those notes. I mean, do the gin brands, I mean, do they look for those notes, or do you give them like a summary of the feedback from the judges? That must be quite interesting for them.
Yeah. So for new and established brands alike, I think a lot of people really value that feedback from the awards, and like sort of a summary of all of that and scores get sent out to everyone afterwards. So currently in that phase at the moment, which is one of the tasks to send out large volumes of that. But I think it's something I'd like to spend a lot of time on, because I think it's so valuable.
Absolutely.
And again, if you do an awards and say, sorry, you didn't win, you need context, were you 2 points off or 20 points off, and was it down to one thing or multiple things? And I think almost sort of try and put myself in the position of an entrant and go, if I won or if I didn't win, what do I want to hear?
And what would be useful to maybe adapt the recipe, or maybe just tweak a few things, because I guess you could, if you're a gin maker, you could sell 100 bottles of gin and not get one single bit of feedback. But you've got a decent number of industry experts there, so it's like, why wouldn't you use that? Take advantage of that situation. Great. And so on the subject of Scottish gin, of course, you mentioned you're drinking crafty tonight. But which Scottish gins have you been enjoying recently? I know there are a few entrants and finalists for your, Gin Guide Awards, but so there's probably a few to mention there. But any standouts for you?
I say 1881 Navy Strength was an absolute cracker. Did so well in the Navy Strength category, and there's so many Scottish gins that I've sort of very early on in my kind of own gin journey sort of engaged with a lot and sort of absolutely loved, and that have I've been great supporters of, and they've been great advocates of the Gin Guide too, like Baldy Gin Company and Gary and Stephen at Kirkivar as well. And so I've always got a soft spot for their gins, and then just like sort of Finn at Colonsay, and so many great ones like that. Oro too. I could go on.
I know it's so difficult, isn't it? It's we won't make you recite all like 130 brands or whatever it is at the moment. But no, we agree with you. 1881, we went to the distillery at the start of the year, and we tasted all their gins, but that was the one we came away with. So I think, good call. We agree with you on that, and the others. And we went to Orkney too last year, so and we were lucky enough to meet the guys at Dearness and Kirkcavar and at Orkney Gin Company, and
just lovely people. I think it's one of the things I've loved about doing what we do is the fact that you drink a gin, you really enjoy it, and then you meet the people, and they're just lovely people.
And
I
think makes you go back for more, doesn't it?
I think it just makes you love and admire that brand a bit more when you know the people, and they are just genuine, hard-working, nice people. So, but moving on, our final question is: this might be a tough one. Do you have a favourite cocktail?
I guess I really go in phases, and I'm in this sort of simplicity phase at the moment. But I'm really enjoying. We're sort of going back to basics with martinis, gimlets,
nice.
Things like sort of basil smash, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Those sort of quite clean and crisp and simple and very accessible as well.
Yeah.
The classic.
Sort of
Where you only need a few things. I like those too.
yeah, and they're great for if someone who's maybe not a connoisseur or sort of, doesn't have everything sat in their cupboard in their fridge. I could say, you can make one of these really easily, and it's great. And I still have soft spots for all sorts of other things. Like absolutely love a Martinez and some things like that. But I was going to ask you what you think about this, as this always splits the room. But using an Old Tom for a martini.
Ooh, I actually did that with a Esker honey spiced last year, and actually quite liked it, because I just say try everything once anyway. Certainly, I mean, it worked for me, and yeah, I think it works. I mean, I know some people prefer their martini very dry, but I think
that's a great thing about cocktails and about the evolution of sort of. I got an A to Z cocktail book from about 1980 from my mum before Christmas, and some of the recipes in it would honestly take the paint off your car. They are just, and I think it's really inspiring and fantastic to see just how far respect for mixologists has come. Some of the recipes that some of the world's best bartenders are doing, and I think that's a great thing about cocktails, is the fact that you can make them at home, or you can go to a real fantastic bar and enjoy a world-class experience. But at the end of the day, everybody's taste different, and I think everybody finds a cocktail that they like and kind of gravitate towards it a wee bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But no, seeing the Old Tom thing, I'm with you. I actually think I would tone down the vermouth. I would basically just coat the ice with a vermouth, and I think you can get away with the Old Tom, because it's basically about the gin, isn't it? So provided it's crisp.
Controversial.
Maybe I've just. I'm waiting for the comments to come up for
the martini bandits will be out chucking stones off your windows.
Nick Gin and Beer, she's saying that Esker martini, she replicated that at home and she said it was great. So that's two of us. So I'm not alone there.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to know what you think. What do you think about an Old Tom and a martini?
Again, I have a soft spot for it.
Yeah.
So. Again, just playing around, I tried it. So going very light on the vermouth, sort of balance it. But yeah, it's something I quite like. And you ask people, it always seems to split a room. Some people would say, absolutely not. This is
sacrilege.
And others go, and sort of seeing more bartenders even saying, no, it's brilliant. Try it. And want to play around with it if you haven't already, I guess.
Agreed, absolutely.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to have a chat tonight, Paul. Obviously, you've got another event on after this.
Never ends.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat tonight. And obviously, for anybody out there watching that hasn't visited the Gin Guide website before, go and check it out. It's fantastic. There's also great social media channels as well. Paul's a fantastic advocate for the gin industry as a whole. So yeah, go and follow all the channels and give him your support. So
awesome. Yeah. Cheers. Thanks so much. It's always a pleasure.
Good job for you there.
Yeah. You can send me that tenner in a card later on.
No, it's on its way. Bank transfer. It's quick.
Yeah. But no, genuinely, thanks very much for taking the time to chat tonight, Paul. You stay safe, and we'll talk soon.
Catch up soon.
Brilliant. Love what you guys do. Speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Stay
Cheers.
Safe. Bye. Okay. Just back to us. We'll keep it brief. Thank you very much for those of you that have joined us. It was lovely to chat to Paul. I feel like, again, that was just having a
could have chatted for another hour.
Yeah, exactly. But he's got something else on, which I believe some of you might even be joining later. So, but no, thanks for joining us. That was actually our 8th round of Scottish Gin now. We can't believe it. We had to count that twice before we started. But yeah, these will carry on generally. Mondays, Wednesdays, sometimes Fridays. So just keep an eye out on our social.
The next one is Monday coming, is it? We've got Kirsten Spears from KD Media, who are the company behind the Scottish Gin Awards, joining us for a chat. So we're looking forward to that, and we hope you'll join us on Monday at 8 o'clock. But until then, take care, stay safe, and thanks again for watching.
Good night.
See you later.
Bye.
Cheers.